Okay, guys, welcome back. If you were watching my previous video, which I doubt because no one is watching, but if you were, imagine you were one of the two people that were watching the previous video. In that case, what we were talking about was about Tesla and work. Okay, so Tesla was moving into this range or wedge or a triangle. So we plotted some lines with the highs and lows of today's movements, and we could see a trajectory. Okay, so far it has been really respecting this trajectory, and it's doing very good actually, 5% plus. So and it's moving above the 50 moving average, which is already very, very positive. I mean, normally the first thing you check is for the 200 moving average. And if you look at the inclination of the moving average, the 200 moving average, that's pointing upwards. That shows you that it's having a very good positive momentum. Obviously, the climbing, it always works in the following way. The climbing goes slowly, okay, very slowly, like this. It goes like in a stair. Stairs, but when it drops like a rock, boom, like that. So here you have the stairs going up, going down, going up, going down, going up, going down, going up, and then going down, down, down. Okay. What we have to check is that it doesn't deviate from either the 50 or the 200 moving averages. As long as it's above the 200 moving average, that means the trend is going up, and it's a good trend and it's positive, and that's what we want for Tesla. Today's target is to reach 425, which that would be very ambitious, because 425 would mean that we would need to go up more or less another 20 points, which is another 5%. So it would be that we expect Tesla to go up 10% today. I mean, we'll measure, but I mean, it's obvious what I just said. You could see it, and that's from that point all the way to this point. Okay, that's another 5%. I'm gonna undo. So far so good. It's following the trend. It's inside our expectations, our limits. Let's check work, Slack. So for Slack, if you were watching the previous video, we were trying to, I'm gonna reload it just to be sure that we have the correct information, 27.25, that's correct, so that was good. And the reason why I do this is because sometimes Yahoo Finance doesn't show the right information. In my previous video, we were here at this point here, and we were setting up a stop loss, not to use it as a real stop loss, but to use it as a tool that will allow us to sell a Slack at the highest price possible. And what do I mean by that? So basically we would set the stop loss, and as the price goes up, you move it up, you move it up, you move it up. And so why do we do this, and when do we do this? The reason why I do it is because that way, if for any reason I forget about the stock and I forget because I'm doing something else, I'm doing Tesla or something else, and the stock decides to drop like a rock, basically, like I just explained before, it will sell off. Obviously, that happens sometimes, but and normally that happens in the hype moment when we start, okay? But we don't want that happening to us, because at 9:30 you have the biggest hype, and then look what happens. Boom, it drops. It would have sell off here. So normally you do this when the stock has gained some stability, and that's the case right now. Actually here, when we were placing the stop loss, all of a sudden it dropped. Boom. It looked like it was going to turn around the trend, it was going to start going up, and it just didn't. So if we set it up here right now, we might reach the same situation, because look, we went up to exactly the same spot where we were before. So if we would have set the stop loss when we were up here, we would have lost it, and we don't want to lose it. Actually, the target, the 5% target profit that we wanted to gain from Slack Technologies, that was if Slack Technologies would reach 27.99. We are still pretty far away from it, and we can see that here, if we do a trend, I wanted to see that 99, but there, more or less. Okay, we'll say 28. Okay, so we go to trend line, and from here, which we're at the highest peak of the day, to there, we still would need to go 2.67 up, and we're at 2.63. So we will need to double the increase, and that's a lot. So I doubt that's going to happen, and now we're reaching the saturation point of this wave, meaning that in a few minutes it's going to start going down. So probably it's not the best moment to do this kind of a strategy. This kind of strategy, you would do it when you're at the bottom, for example, at the bottom of the intersection between the MACD and the signal, and when you have a stock that is going up very quickly and very fast. So I would imagine it would be something that instead of falling here, it would have already go up, and falls very little and goes up a lot more. And in this situation, I would set this kind of stop loss. Right now, I'm not so convinced. I would need now to see a change here. You see a change, like it would do a reversal move, and don't drop and just start going up. And if that will happen, that will be the moment. And the reason for doing this is because we don't want to lose it. We're not using it as a stop loss as is. We're using it as a technical tool to help us hold the stock without selling it, but in worst case scenario, sell it if things don't work the way we expect. Okay, that being said, let's go back to Tesla. Let's see where we are. I think we're going to have to refresh, because it looks very similar to 5 minutes ago, and it looks like nothing happened. Basically, it's like it didn't move. Did it? 406. Okay, so it's moving on the higher end of this triangle range that we set up. That's actually a good sign. We could set a new bottom, a new bottom ground here, and it would be something around there. It could be lower, but I think I like the way I just placed it. We'll close this, and I'm gonna do a zoom out to check resistance and support points. I mean, basically I'm using this point and this point here to set it up. Is this something very important? No, it's not important. It just helps you to get different perspectives on the direction of the stock. For example, is it going to use the 50? If you look at it, the 50 moving average, the red line here, is more or less where now the stock is finding support. And every time it touches the 50, it bounces back. And that gives it a lot of consolidation on the direction and momentum of the stock at this point. If it would have been the 200, that means it needs to drop a lot more in order to bounce back and stay within that range. So far like that. The only thing I'm not liking right now is that the distance between the signal and the MACD, it's really high. It's really big. You see, that measures the distance. That distance here is this. And that's really big. And I don't know. That might break this trend right now. It might go through the 50. And in that case, it might change the direction. But so far I see it's stabilizing. It just turned around. And you can see that the green was going to cross down, and all of a sudden it just decided to go back up. This green line is the 5 moving average, and it was crossing the 30 moving average. So there we go. So far so good. As long as Tesla sticks to the top side to this line, that means that probably by 4 will be at around 420, something like that, by 4. And that's in a very conservative, smooth movement. Don't forget that around 12, there's always a new hype that happens, or between 11:45 and 12:30. Sometimes it's 11:30 and 12:30. Here in this area, I'm going to draw a square, a rectangle between, I'll put 11:45, and 12:30, which is this. In this time, normally, there's a hype. In those times, we'll see if it breaks out of this line, of this range, or if it decides to drop farther down. We'll see. I don't think it will go down more, because I can see that now, even though the MACD is showing a big turning point, the stock itself, the reality is that it's moving sideways. And that's a really good sign of momentum wanting to go up. And if we check the RSI, we can see, oh, look at that. It's getting very close to the 80. That means that if we reach the 80, we might have or experience a big drop. I'm thinking, because that's when most people sell. And that would be something to keep an eye on. But so far, I see recovery already happening. And that's a good sign too. Okay? So, yeah, so far so good. I think we'll leave it here by now. Don't forget that all this is in my opinion. These are things I've learned in the last year or so. And yeah, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a retail investor. And I hope you like and subscribe, and anything that you can learn, I appreciate. And if you can teach me something, I'm willing to learn more things, more tricks, more strategy and stuff. I'm going to do another video now, if you want to watch it. It's going to be about how to get stocks, what techniques you can use to find new stocks that you are planning on, buy to go up. I mean, you don't want to buy a stock that it's at the bottom, rock bottom, and you don't know if it's going to go up. You want to buy a stock that it's rock bottom, but that it's starting to go up. Okay? I'm not talking about the stocks that are on the news all the time, and those go up because they are in the news because something positive happened. I'm talking about stocks that, due to the situation, the big drop they've had, they have no other direction to go other than bankrupt or up. And when they go up, normally they go up in big chunks, like 10, 20, 30, sometimes 40%. Okay, I'll show you that in the next video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.